I want to say good morning, Kelowna Unitarians, friends, and guests. I'm so excited for our service today. It's going to be an interesting and unique service. Regularly, we do fire communion at this time of year, a fire communion ritual, and we've turned this ritual into a series this year. Now, what is fire communion? On the Unitarian Universalist Association's website, they state that the fire communion separates the end of the year from the beginning, helping us to put into perspective the joys and sorrows, the changes and transitions, the ups and downs of the year. This is the halfway point of our church year, but it's a celebration of the calendar year's end and beginning. So perhaps you did a similar practice on December 31st or January 1st, making a New Year's resolution where you resolved to do something better or different than you did before. Our rituals of fire communion can be similar to those of New Year's resolutions, but the thing that I see as the difference between my commitments at fire communion and that of a New Year's resolution is the intention setting. New Year's resolutions feel more like wish making and more immediate. But perhaps this is my own pessimism leaking through, my own criticism of the secular practice of New Year's resolutions. But I do feel that there is a commitment being made in a sacred community, witnessed by a sacred community that holds us to a higher standard than that of the wishes made at midnight on the eve of a new year. Now, some of you will remember that at the solstice service in December, Lindsay Atkinson Smith and the worship committee spoke about letting go of things from the past year. People were asked to hold individual stones and to pour into them all of the things that you wanted to let go of. You dropped those stones into a vessel of water, which was then poured out onto the earth. You are also invited to welcome new things into your life. These welcomings, these creative ideas were written down on paper. Perhaps you still have that sheet of paper stuck on your fridge or close to your bathroom mirror. As a practice of welcoming in the solar year, the new year of Yule into our lives, you all spent time examining how you wanted to move into the new year. These rituals that happen at the solstice let us create commitment, allow us to create accountability within a sacred community. You are asked to release the thoughts into the earth and to keep your practices in a visible place. And this is what we are going to practice today. However, we're going to focus on the area of our community life. Kelowna Unitarians is at the precipice of a new year, a new calendar year, but also perhaps moving closer to the precipice of a new era of ministry. Because this faith community is going to need to know what it means to have a ministry that is not led by or reliant on me. The congregation has another 5.5 months before my time with you all is done, and part of my work with you is to help you figure out what that means. What is it that you want this community, Kelowna Unitarians, to work towards? What intentions are you wanting to work towards? And remember that in order to create forward movement, you will also need to let go of things. You will need to stop glancing backwards at the way the community used to be, reminiscing about the way things used to happen. So we are going to take time in breakout rooms to unpack these questions, because to make community commitments, community intentions, you need to be in conversation with your community. Now, in our newsletter on Friday, you were asked to bring 2 pieces of paper. As you spend time in your discussion groups, I ask that you use one piece of paper to write down an intention that you want Kelowna Unitarians to work towards over the next year. And on the second piece of paper, please write down the pieces and practices of the community life that you are ready to let go of in order to make room for the new intentions. So the two questions are, what are some of the most important intentions you want this community to work towards over the next year? And what pieces and practices of community life are you ready to let go of in order to make way for new intentions? Usually in a fire communion ritual, I would invite people to come to the front of the sanctuary to burn their slips of paper. We would create a space where we could watch last year's struggles and regrets, challenges and obstacles go up in flames, sometimes vanishing, sometimes turning to ash, which can be used to fertilize the seeds that we hope to nourish and watch grow through the new year. But the worship committee and I decided that we wanted to offer another opportunity to witness our struggles and welcome in practices for next week. We will be continuing this conversation, but changing the lens, changing the focus of which we are examining, to look to the reconciliation work that the congregation has been involved in over the last several months. So I ask you to hold on to your slips of paper. Let them sit with you this week. Let the ideas of community, the commitments of letting go, and the excitements about welcoming in stew into the melange of your week, and we will return to them next Sunday. I suggest that you fold up the slips of paper, leave them close to the place where you will engage in worship service next week, or maybe put them in an envelope, use them as a bookmark, hang them on your fridge or next to your bathroom mirror, but don't lose them because we will be re-examining them as we gather next week. This is going to be an ongoing conversation. Next week during worship service and in the following weeks, the board is working with Joan Carolyn to have her participate in another congregational conversation. And so please make sure that you hold on to these ideas as we move forward into the next several weeks and months. And now I'd like to invite you into a time of meditation and reflection. Linda Gubar is going to share a poem with us. We'll have a moment of silence, and then Phyllis will offer a piece of music. And so now for our meditation.
This poem is called Creating Fire by Stephen M. Schick. Is the fire going out? Not in your belly, for you are still alive, but in your soul, in that place where dreams fuel commitment, where longings shape action, where meaning flames purpose, where passion ignites and rekindles your life fire. If your soul smolders, dream on till you flame like a chalice of hope.